Okay guys, we are back with another video. We have a 5070 Ti. It's the Gigabyte Gaming OC model. And we had a question posed in the comments on the last video with the 5070 Ti. Could it run at 4K native, no upscaling? So that's what we're going to look at today. I've got my metrics over here. And just so everybody knows, we've got the VRAM allocation indicated with the A, the utilization indicated with the U, and then the shared VRAM or the spilled VRAM indicated with the S right here. So these three are going to be very important while we go through this test. And then of course we've got our system RAM here. You don't want to see the VRAM S or the system RAM go up a whole lot when it comes to VRAM. Then everything else is pretty much the same. We're running a 14900K, and let's get into the test. So right now we are at 4K, and I've just activated the kind of default 4K settings here. So this is kind of where the test starts, is low. So we've got texture pool size, everything low, low, low. All of this is pretty bottomed out. Our path tracing we can't turn off completely, but we can turn off the full path tracing. I'm sorry, we can't turn off ray tracing, getting that confused, but we can turn off path tracing. So in this particular setting, we've got some ray tracing, the bottomed out ray tracing, as well as native TAA. So no upscaling, nothing going on, no bells and whistles. So let's see what we're at. All right, so we're looking really good here. We're at 110 FPS at 4K. VRAM allocation is low, 9.8 for this card at 4K, which is nothing to sneeze at. It's doing pretty well. We've got 16 gigs on this card, so all in all, yes, you can run this at 4K native, but I am at the lowest settings across the board, and of course we don't have any sort of path tracing turned on, just regular ray tracing. So let's just jump over into the settings and see what we can pull up. I've kind of standardized these tests a little bit. So what we do is we start off at low, then we go to the next highest setting. And it does say you have to restart, but I have not found any difference in that. So just for the sake of time, I'm going to just keep going here. So our VRAM allocation jumped quite a bit to 10.7. So we're at 93 FPS, native 4K. We have not messed with path tracing yet at all, which is extremely intensive for this title, and it is really, really hard for most cards to run. I believe when this came out, it was even hard for a 4080 to run it at the time, and 4090 was about the only thing that could really get close to running it at the full speed. So let's just jump over here, go down just a little bit, and let's go up to high, and let's see what that does. All right, 86. Man, I mean, this game just eats up VRAM the higher you go. I mean, we're at 11.9 right now at 88 FPS. We're nowhere near the max settings, which is called Supreme in this title, which that's new to me. I don't know why they changed the standard naming, but that's what they decided to do. So let's go over here and let's go to the next preset, which is Ultra. Notice Ultra is 2 away from the max. So I don't know if that means that that Ultra is where you should be kind of, comparing it for apples to apples, comparison with other games, but they've decided for whatever reason to name Ultra the third setting from the top. So we're at 12.4 allocation of VRAM, and utilization is at 12.97. So of course that spill that VRAM shared is still under control. It's 9.4. That's never going to be 0. I mean, it has to communicate with the system RAM to some degree, so that's going to go up a little bit no matter what. But you just don't want to see any giant leaps as you mess with the settings. If that was at 2 or 3 gigs, then absolutely we're getting some spillover. Alright, so 83, 84. Let's go over here to the next preset, which is very ultra. So there you go, they've changed some names on us. 12.9 allocation with a 12.6 utilization at 80 FPS. I mean, all in all, we're looking good. As long as we don't turn on that path tracing, I think we're going to be okay. But the path tracing will put a dent in our VRAM, and we're going to have to use some upscaling if it will even remain stable. This game crashes a lot whenever you start to push on that VRAM. It doesn't really manage it well. So let's just go over here. Let's go to the next setting, which is Supreme. Let's just go down here and see what that does. See, even up to Supreme, it still is not enabling path tracing at all. So that's how intensive this is. I mean, all of your normal settings are maxed out, but path tracing, I'm expecting it to crash. If it doesn't crash, it will probably freeze. I'll be surprised if it doesn't. So native 4K, yes. Without path tracing on this card, you're perfectly fine. You're at 13.5 gigabytes of allocated VRAM with a 13.1 usage, and your system RAM is, not having any kind of spillover. All right, so let's hold our breath and see what path tracing does. How much of that can we pull in and remain at native? Don't really know, but let's see. All right, so let's just go up one tick to medium. So that does not include ray trace reflections, but yeah, look at that, 34 FPS, and we are basically spilling over on our VRAM. You see how that shot up to 1.5, almost 1.6 gigs. So just turning on path tracing will spill over 16 gigs of VRAM, which is nuts, but that's just how intense this game is, or how horribly optimized it is. I have a feeling that it's a combination of both. I feel like this game could run better, but every update seems to make it a little bit worse, honestly. Alright, so it is managing not to crash, which is a good sign. In the grand scheme of things, this game really loves to just totally, dip out on you, just gone. So let's go over to video again. So this answers the question, is it playable at 4K native? Yes, without path tracing. The second you turn on path tracing, you've got to use DLSS. So if I go up to high, oh man, we're just dropped to 12, because this game has the menu running at real time. So we're at 13 FPS, looking quite rough. Our VRAM shared, the spillover went up a little bit. Yeah, so you're gonna have to use DLSS, man. I mean, there's just no way you can run this title at 4K native without DLSS if you want to use path tracing. You can run full Supreme, but you're not gonna be able to do 4K native with path tracing. There's just no way it's gonna be playable. So again, I really hope this does not freeze. So let's just see. Okay, got DLSS. Turn off of auto. Auto will manage it for you, which is quite nice, but let's just go to quality. Let's not mess with any of this yet. Okay, that gave us a lot more performance back. It kind of got our VRAM out under control. It's still spilling a little bit, if you were to ask me. I like to see that shared VRAM under a gig. And it's just peeking over it right now. So I bet if we went to another layer of DLSS, we would be able to have a nice experience on this card, which there's nothing wrong with DLSS. This is running the latest transformer model, and it's very, very good. So you're going to get a bunch of warnings in this game here. So it's kind of telling you, hey, this is going to be bad. So I need to put it on performance. Alright, so that gets us up to about 60. So you can run it with performance DLSS at 4K, and you're basically maxing out your VRAM here. I mean, it's using 15 gigs basically and allocating 15.3, but that shared VRAM is awful close to a gig, which tells me it's probably spilling over just a little bit for some of the, you know, lesser quality things, the lesser needed things. So it'll throw that stuff into system RAM, stuff that it doesn't need to call up right this second. But definitely would like to see that better. I mean, we're at 53, so I would probably say, let's go into here. So everything's maxed out, of course. Ray tracing still not totally maxed out, but we have some stuff down here. The ray traced indirect illumination, that's going to hit us if it doesn't crash. So yeah, I mean, look at that. From 60 to 20. So man, I mean, no, this is not what I would do at all. When I said it was going to hit us, I didn't expect it to be that big of a hit. So if you go over here, drop down. So we've kind of already established if you want to use path tracing, you're going to need a beefier amount of VRAM. So you're going to have to go up to a, oh man, you're probably going to have to go up to like a 4090 to get 24 or a 5090 to get 32. I would say a 4090 would be a little bit better experience. Of course, it's a freaking 4090, no surprise there, but let's just go to ultra performance and turn off the oh, where did it go? The ray traced indirect illumination. Let's turn that off because that was not going to work for us. So that jumps us back up. So we were at 60 with this setting on performance, but now that we're at ultra performance, we're at 70. So I would just keep that indirect illumination turned off. It's just too much of a hit to your performance, in my opinion. I mean, there's no way that it makes it look that much better. I mean, it looks so good. So, you know, I mean, this is kind of getting toward the end of the test. I just wanted to go through a few more things, and I'm doing this in a bit of a nervous way because this game really likes to just completely shut down on you. What if we turn on ray reconstruction? It's going to hit us a little, but it looks like it's not going to hit us that bad. 60, still over 60. So we can play with some frame generation, but with it being this close to our VRAM being maxed out, I would hesitate to say that this is going to do a whole lot for us. And even if we do it, it's going to use all the VRAM buffer we have left. So if we go to 2x, I'm not expecting it to jump that much. 109, I mean, that's not too bad. It's definitely not 2x, but our VRAM allocation is at 15.6, and it's definitely spilling over. I mean, you're over a gig there. So it's hitting that and then giving itself a little bit less of a grab at that VRAM and safely putting some of it in the system RAM. As you can see, it was at 20, now it's at 21 gigabytes. So, I mean, the main thing to just know is you're going to get VRAM spill even on a 16 gig card if you're expecting to run this at 4K. And I mean, on ultra performance, it is a bit softer looking. I mean, DLSS is good, but it ain't like that good. Whenever you start to get to ultra performance, things do start looking a little bit blurry. So the optimal settings that I would run if I had a 5070 Ti, I would turn off the path tracing altogether, and I would probably run it at, I believe quality was looking pretty good, because that's going to give us a lot more of a VRAM buffer. So whenever you are that close to your VRAM buffer, say you were to encounter a scene that required more VRAM, you could risk a lot of stutter. You could even risk a crash if it happens too quickly. So you want to always play with a little bit of VRAM left over, and you don't want to just always run at like maximum VRAM allocation. So it's good to have a little bit of room in there just for a nice playable experience. So this is 91 FPS. And if you really just wanted to see what it looked like with basically 4K native, need to switch that over to DLAA. 4K native, you know, it's eating up a little bit more VRAM, but we still got a little bit more VRAM we could use to turn on that frame generation. Since 4K is over the, it's over 60. So let's come in here. All right, let's go to 2x. That's going to give us 65 to 104, 100. That's a nice jump. So 14.3, we're still looking good on that. And honestly, I would probably just run it at 4x, because why not? I don't think there's that big of a difference between how much VRAM it uses. But let's see. Let's see, go up to 3x, go up to 4x. So our VRAM stayed pretty much the same as far as allocation goes. And we're at almost 200 FPS. So you could even kind of use this as a starting point to bring some of that DLSS back in. And so we're at 4x and bring in a little bit more of that DLSS. Let's go to quality DLSS. Okay, we're still looking good on our VRAM. And it's running at 225, 222. I'm just trying to kind of show everyone what you can play with once you get to these settings. Just keep an eye on your VRAM and just know that DLSS will help your VRAM, and any sort of frame generation will utilize VRAM. So you can kind of look at your VRAM and go, okay, I got 13.6. I know that there's 16 on this card. So I've already used my frame generation, and we're still looking really good. And as far as quality DLSS goes, you know, if you were to bring path tracing into it, you're going to probably have to come down to ultra performance. And that's just going to be the way it is. I mean, I would hesitate to even turn these settings on without turning that DLSS on first. Because, I mean, look, I've got, this is crazy, ultra performance. I've got 4x frame generation turned on. So both of those things help our, you know, FPS numbers. The second I turned on path tracing, it just crippled our frame rate. It's just not worth it on this card. It's just not. So I hope that really puts to bed any kind of questions as far as like if this game is playable on a 5070 Ti at 4K native, and some other, you know, things you can kind of do to turn that experience into a little bit better of experience with DLSS, a little bit of frame gen. But on 4K with a 5070 Ti, I would say yes to native 4K, as long as you do not mess with path tracing at all, because it's just, I mean, it just tanks your performance. 130 something to, you know, what was it? Just tanking it, you know, I mean, 50. That's just, and our allocation, our VRAM allocation's maxed out. We're spilling over already. Like, it's just not worth it, folks. But anyway, I'm going to wrap that up and just say thank you for hanging out. Please subscribe. It means a lot to the channel's success. The longer you watch and the more people who are subscribed. So the more and more of these I do, the more and more subscribers I do, the more and more I can answer these kind of questions for you guys, because this is all coming out of my own pocket. So for right now, thank you so much for the support, and I look forward to seeing you all in the very next one. Have a good day.